Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Whoa. Okay, sorry guys, let me stop messing around and just get into the review. Is it just me, guys? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I haven't been in the greatest of moods this week. I am on my period. TMI, you didn't need to hear that, so you never heard that, okay? I just don't know what it is, but as I was watching the episode, I don't know. I'm like kind of turned off by everybody on Salt Lake City. I'm not really into it. And I should be into it, right? Because Jen Shah getting arrested would be like when does a housewife get arrested on camera? Have we ever seen that before? No. I mean, we did see Luann get arrested on camera, but that wasn't during the season, right? That wasn't for the show. So this is supposed to be an explosive season. Then we have Mary and her cult and everything unfolding, right? So this should be an exciting show. But for some reason, I'm not going to say I'm not entertained, but I don't know. I'm not really into anybody. Now, it could be because Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, they're fairly new. We don't really know everybody that well. So maybe we're not like emotionally connected to everybody. Because say if Portia was getting arrested for fraud, we will be like, oh, Portia, how could you? I mean, maybe we wouldn't have that reaction, but it would hit harder, right? And I guess even for Erica Jane, what she had going on in her life, it hit harder because we are somewhat familiar with her character and who she is. But Jen Shah, who is Jen Shah? We don't really know Jen Shah like that. So I don't know. For me, it's like, okay, yeah, she's fraudulent. I mean, she did seem a little, I don't know about her, right? From the beginning. So I'm not completely shocked. Mary, I mean, before the show even aired last season, we heard all the tea, all the gossip. Maybe it's just me because I follow the tea, Brooke Ashley, she covered a lot. I think she talked to Mary's cousin or uncle or somebody, and he spilled the tea. So a lot of this information we already got last year. So for the other ladies to start talking about it now, I don't know. The tea is kind of lukewarm for me. It's like, really, Meredith? You're just finding out that Mary is sketchy, right? Like, I'm sorry. I'm not really... I don't know. I'm not buying them. They seem a little bit contrived. And even with the group... Okay, we know that Lisa and Meredith were cool before. That's somewhat believable. Their chemistry is somewhat believable. Whitney and Heather, their chemistry is somewhat believable. But everybody else as a group, I don't know. They don't have that chemistry. They're not as cohesive. Something is just off. I just feel like they don't really like each other as a group. And them hanging together just seems really forced. And I know that's the new norm now with shows like this. At the beginning of Real Housewives, yes, they kind of brought together people randomly. Not completely randomly, but they would take somebody that maybe the rest of the group really didn't know. But I don't know, it felt a little bit more organic. It felt like there were genuine friendships there. But with Salt Lake City, something with the chemistry is off, right? So getting into the episode, I mean, this was a long-ass episode. I think it was 20 minutes extra, which, to be honest, we really didn't need that 20 minutes. I would have cut 20 minutes from the beginning because we got a lot of filler stuff at the beginning and kind of just give us maybe 10 minutes before and then cut to Mary's cooking lesson and then cut to Jen running from the popo. You know what I mean? And that would have been the episode. But we got a lot of stuff at the beginning we didn't need. I don't even remember because I did watch the episode. I think I watched it Sunday, but when it came to reviewing it, I don't know. Like, I guess my energy wasn't there. I wasn't really into it. I was like, ugh, right? Like, we got Heather. I think Heather met with her niece, right? And she was talking to her niece about her leaving the Mormon community and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that's not interesting. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's just very superficial to me. And we heard the story about 1,001 times. Like, every time we get to Heather's personal story, it's like, I used to be a Mormon. I used to be a good girl. I used to do this. I used to do that. Now I'm a bad girl and I drink and I have sex and da 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 da. And I want my daughter to... Okay, I was going to say something that I'm not going to say anymore. Take that back. I don't know. It was interesting the first season. Don't get me wrong. It was interesting the first season. But now, Heather, we get it. You used to be Mormon. Now you're not Mormon anymore. We don't need to see another several episodes of the same story being repeated over and over again. It's not the worst in the world. Like, okay, I can still sit there and watch it, but it was pretty boring. Especially when you're talking to this niece. We've never seen this niece before. Who the hell is she? No offense to her. I'm not dissing her. But we don't know her. Where did she come from? We don't care that her and her husband is not Mormon anymore. Like, it's not interesting. I'm sorry, it's not interesting. So it's like, cut that. We don't need that. And then we had a scene with Meredith and Jenny meeting, and I think Jenny was talking about Mary and be like, I don't like Mary. And then Mary's like, I don't like Jenny. She's like Lisa. We only need one. It's like, from what we've seen as the audience member, we've only seen one blowout from Jenny and Mary. So I don't get this level of animosity, right? But I guess we're going to see how it plays out. But with Meredith and Jenny, I don't know. Meredith, well, let me calm down. I think I'm getting a little too hype. Meredith, I like Meredith, I guess, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think Meredith makes for the best television. Now, Meredith, she can be like a friend to the show. Sorry. She could be a friend to the show. Like, I like her presence, but every scene with her is kind of dry. And Jenny, I don't know if I'm really feeling Jenny, to be honest with you. And Jenny and Meredith together is like, there's no real friendship or connection. So that scene was very dry, right? So, okay, let me stop complaining about what parts were dry and let's get into the more juicier, wetter parts of the episode, okay? Sorry, I'm not complaining, right? I'm not complaining. I was complaining, but I'm moving forward. Mary and Whitney, let's talk about that. So, Mary called Whitney or FaceTime Whitney a number of times, right? And Whitney didn't answer. We all know what that means. Now, here's the thing I'm confused with, because Whitney says that she was carpooling, and Mary was like, what, you're carpooling for like a day and a half? Like, you can't call me back, you can't say, oh, sorry, I was this, and this, right? That's according to Mary. But then according to Whitney said that she did contact her 4 hours later saying, sorry, I was busy. So we're getting two different stories. And I like Whitney and I like Mary. But there are sketchy sides to both where I'm gonna be honest, you guys tell me what you think. I don't know who to believe in this scenario, because Whitney, although I like her, you can tell she has her little producer hat on, right? You can tell she's a little schemy, as much as she likes to point the finger at Lisa. And I like Lisa, but I think Lisa is definitely guilty of certain things as well. They all are, and I can see it. And I get that's what happens with reality television, but I don't like it to be so obvious. You guys need to be a little bit better in your acting if you're gonna pull off these fake storylines. Because when I see it and it's obvious, it throws me off, right? Because Mary and Whitney, they have their moment right at the cooking lesson. And Whitney starts crying like, Mary, I was there for you at the very beginning. I had your back when nobody else had your back. I think that was a little too high to be Whitney. Maybe it's not. I had your back when nobody else had your back. I was your best friend. I stood up for you. I care so much about you. Now, is it me, or maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong. But this is the vibe that I got, right? Maybe because for the first season, Mary got promoted later on to a full-time housewife because originally she was just supposed to be a friend to the show. But from the scenes of her and Whitney, I did not get the impression that her and Whitney were close like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't get that impression. I thought it was more of the typical thing. Well, they need somebody to bring Mary onto the show, and Whitney she's the girl to do it. Now, I'm not saying they didn't know each other or they weren't acquainted with each other, but I didn't really get this whole they're diehard friends or whatever, because I remember when Jen and Mary had that thing, Whitney wasn't really standing up for Mary like that. Maybe they cut that scene, maybe I don't remember, but I didn't really get that energy from Whitney. Not saying that things couldn't have happened behind the scenes, but it's coming out of nowhere. Like, I'm just getting the vibe that Mary is not really super close with anybody like that. I think they're all acquainted, but to act like you guys are best friends, I don't know. I'm not really buying that. And the tears she had with, like, Whitney, the way she broke down, I'm sorry, she did cry real tears, so I'll give her that. So it definitely could be authentic, or Whitney could be a really great actress. I don't know what it is, but something about Whitney's vibe I'm not really buying. Sorry, drinking some water. But I can't vouch for Mary either. I can't say, well, I definitely believe Mary that Whitney never called her back. Even though Mary was saying, like, Whitney says she's my friend, but she doesn't act like it. And that also aligns with the energy I'm getting from Whitney, right? But like I said, I can't vouch for Mary because Mary's credibility is not the greatest. Now, I'm not saying Mary is a liar, right? Because if anything, Mary is too honest. Mary is too upfront. Now, you can say Mary is entitled, for sure, damn sure, that Mary is self-centered. Hell yeah, you could say that. You could say that Mary has a God complex, literally, because people in her church call her God and believe she has the power of God in her. I don't know what that means, right? So something's off with Mary. We can all agree on that. But would Mary just lie and say whatever? Now, Whitney, like, if Whitney texted her, would Mary lie and leave out that she didn't? And it's like, Whitney says all this stuff that, yeah, she texted her back, but I don't think Whitney said that to Mary's face. Now, to be fair, Mary kind of was like shutting everything down. So a conversation wasn't really able to happen. It was kind of like we heard the story in the confessionals and not, in person, face to face with each other. So I don't know. But something about Whitney, I don't know. And then in her confessional, Whitney says that Mary texted her and was like, I don't need plastic surgery like you. I don't need Botox and fillers, and I look better than you, and you look ugly, and da-da-da-da-da. Doesn't that sound like the message that Nene sent Portia one time when Portia was pregnant? Like, you're fat. Like, ladies, can you grow up? Really? So, I don't know. And I just feel like I'm not denying that maybe Mary sent those messages, but what was the context in which those messages were sent? Were those messages sent after Mary and Whitney had their fallout, right? Or was those messages sent after Whitney didn't respond to her? And I feel like and listen, those messages are not okay either way, right? But it's good to have context. Because it's a little weird. Like, you're saying that Mary sent you all these horrible things. Why wouldn't you in that moment say, well, you sent me all this stuff. You made fun of my plastic surgery and da 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 da. How could you, Mary? She didn't say anything like that in person. But then she says something during her confessionals, right? And it's like you go from being really good friends with her to a split seconds later, like, I do everything for you, to like, you're sitting down with Meredith spilling Mary's tea, right? And I don't know, like, even Meredith, when they're talking about Mary and her church, Meredith has like a smirk on her face. Did you guys see that? Now, I don't know, maybe it's the sort of her Botox kind of pushing her mouth to the side, giving her a slight smirk. You know, I don't know what it is, but it looked like she was like about to laugh because it was so fake. I'm sorry, like, let me stop saying like. I don't know. It's like, oh, really? Wow, Mary, I can't believe it. I didn't know me and Mary are such good friends. It's like, on one hand, I know this storyline has to come out, and I'm definitely interested in seeing how it unfolds, but it's coming off very contrived and not genuine to me. That's the only thing. It's not coming off as authentic. Am I being picky? I think I'm being picky. Let's just move on from that. We'll see how Mary and Whitney and whatever. As we're on Mary, let's just talk about Jenny and Mary. I think I said it last week. Jenny, you can't say, hurry guys. What did she say? I don't know what Jenny said, like, hurry the F up. Come on. Now, if you know somebody, that's not necessarily, it's kind of rude, but not really, right? But if you don't know somebody, you don't have that relationship, and they're yelling at you, telling you to hurry the F up, and you're having a private conversation with someone and you're already heated, of course you're going to feel some sort of way, like, excuse me, who are you talking to? Don't talk to me like that, right? And I think that's just what Mary was doing. Like, you guys can go ahead. You don't let me and Lisa finish our conversation and let's hash this out. You guys can go ahead. You guys don't need to be involved in this. So why are you telling me to hurry the F up? Even though it wasn't really directed at Mary, but I think it kind of was directed at the situation. So with something like that, I don't think necessarily anyone is right per se or wrong. I just think that Jenny was obviously feeling some sort of way. Her emotions were heightened. Mary was already upset with Lisa. Some people swearing is not a big deal, right? It's not super offensive. Some people, to swear at them is like, oh, clutch the pearls. It's the biggest deal in the world, right? And it's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just about people's personal boundaries. And if you don't know somebody, you may cross that boundary, right? And it may take some time to learn each other and figure it out. And, you know, maybe Mary will realize that Jenny didn't really mean it like that. And then maybe Jenny will realize, okay, don't speak in that manner to Mary because she doesn't like that, right? I didn't like the way Jenny kind of handled it after, because I do think she was being passive aggressive, because later on when they were at the table and Jenny was talking about how she doesn't like people telling her what to do, even though she was kind of being hypocritical because you were telling Mary what to do and you were swearing at her. So that doesn't make sense to me, but fine, if that's the way you talk, whatever. But even in that moment, she was being passive aggressive, right? And she She wasn't even being passive aggressive. She was being passive aggressive. You know? It was kind of like, those people talk a big talk and you're right there, but they don't say it directly to your face. They're kind of like, well, you don't mess with me, because if I lose my mind or whatever, you're going to get it and da 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 da. I'm like this, I'm like that. That's what I do. And that's why you can't talk to me like that. You talk to me like that. Da, 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 da. They're so hyped. Right? And they're telling everybody else how big and bad they are, but the person's right there. And, just like Mary said, I'm right here, you're not looking at my face. So Jenny kind of turned me off in that moment. But even then, I don't think it's some big beef where it needs to carry on. But judging by the confessionals and how both of them were talking about each other, it seems like the beef isn't going away anytime soon. And Mary is not the type to just... Mary's Mary, okay? She's whoop-de-dingle-doo. So, moving on. Lisa... Water break. Let me take a water break. I've been talking a mile a minute about absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Whew. Absolutely nothing. So let's just move on to Lisa, Jen, Whitney, and the stupid... Oh my gosh, it's so stupid. I don't even feel like talking about it anymore. But Lisa's party, right? She didn't... Like, for her kids, they're having some Fresh Wolf and a charity event for foster children. That's great, awesome, whatever. To be honest, I do think low-key Lisa's playing the game. She's being messy. She's stirring the shit like they all are, right? That's why she came to Jen and talked about Whitney sending product to Jen's arch nemesis, that fashion designer or whatever, right? And with the sending of the product, you don't know. Like, that guy could have bought the product to throw into Jen's face or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, we don't know what's what. I guess we're gonna find out during the reunion who sent the designer Whitney's product, but at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? Like, whatever. Okay? In terms of Jen not inviting her, in terms of Lisa, not inviting Jen to her event, I just think that because, I think it was because Meredith was going to be there, right? And Meredith, on top of that, is very volatile and very over the place, and like, you don't know what someone can say to kind of trigger her. And then before you know it, she's yelling and screaming and throwing stuff, right? And that may be cute and entertaining at a dinner party, right? Or a party or whatever. But when it comes to an event for charity for her son, I don't think Lisa wanted that mess, to be honest with you. And she was inviting Meredith, and I think she wanted to show her loyalty to Meredith. And definitely, I think Lisa did invite Whitney as an olive branch so that she can get along. Now, do I think Lisa really likes Whitney or whatever? No, I think it's strategic, right? It's like, okay, I don't want to keep beefing with these people, so let me just try to make peace and let me invite her to the event. But, of course, I'm still going to go behind her back and start shit because I don't really like her. That's what it is. It isn't that deep, so... Moving on. Did I cover everything from that little cooking lesson? Yeah, I think I did. Whatever. It's been so long now. I watched the episode Sunday and it's now Thursday, so I'm probably forgetting a lot of nuance, but that's probably a good thing. Yeah, Jen and her Italy cape. That was an interesting choice. Oh yeah, and it was funny that Mary is so petty, right? How Mary gave Whitney a different set of instructions when it came to the attire. And I was like, okay, Mary, if you're gonna prank Whitney, right, why couldn't you give her something a little bit more believable, right? Like, I don't know. That was kind of hilarious, kind of petty, kind of rude. I don't know what's going on with them. let's just move on. Let's just move on to Jen getting arrested. Well, we didn't see her get arrested on camera because she fled the scene. But I will say this. So they're hopping on the bus because they're about to take their girls' trip somewhere. Who knows, right? And I guess Jen gets the call from her husband or somebody in her camp that, look, the popo, they're looking for you, so you better bounce unless you want to get arrested on camera. And the crazy thing for me is that Jen told a bold-faced lie, right, on her husband's health. She literally said that her husband is in the hospital with internal bleeding. Can you believe that? With a straight-ass face. Not only did she tell Heather one-on-one, but she actually told the group, right? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Do you want us not to go? Are you gonna be okay? She's like, no, I'm fine. Everything's okay. Don't worry about it. No, you guys go. I gotta go now. Bye. Come on, guys. I gotta go. Like, if I was her in that situation, I'll be rushing like, bye. See ya. Let me go. She was kind of moving a little slow for me, and the police literally arrived like 12 minutes later. So if she just stayed like 10 more minutes, oh my gosh, she would have got arrested on camera. It's just like, if you're gonna lie, why couldn't you just say, oh my gosh, it's a family emergency, I gotta go, I'll fill you in later, but I gotta go. You know, like, why make up some crazy lie about your husband having internal bleeding? Like, why are you putting that on your husband's life? I just don't think that's good juju, right? And it definitely makes me look at her more... It definitely makes me look at her more sideways. It definitely makes it seem like she's a little bit more guilty if you can so comfortably lie about something like that. I'm feeling like, okay, yeah, you're totally guilty. You're totally guilty because you could lie on your husband's life. That's crazy to me. You could have said anything else. Family emergency, I gotta go. My house is flooded, you know, some pipe burst, or my house is on fire, or, you know, it may not be good juju to say your house is on fire, but that's a lot better than saying your husband has eternal bleeding. Like, that's crazy to me, right? So she left. I mean, we're gonna see how that unfolds. One thing, Jenny, I'm not feeling Jenny, because Jenny's like, I don't know, she said, oh yeah, if my husband's dying, I would still want you guys to go on a trip. Now, I know that was a joke, but it was just in the callous way she said it, and her energy is like, come on guys, let's just go, who cares, let's just go. Like, you could tell she doesn't give a F about Jen and her husband and his internal bleeding. Thankfully, it was a lie, right? But you could tell she doesn't care. She just wants her camera time and her moment. So that just rubbed me the wrong way with Jenny. I don't know. I'm not really feeling Jenny. Then when you add the thing with her niece, and I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it just paints a picture, right? And I don't even... Is it just me, but like Whitney and Heather annoyed me. Like, Heather annoyed me when the police came and how she got out of the tour bus and she was like, what's going on, guys? What's going on? And they're like, the police were like, we're just looking for Jen to make sure she's okay, to make sure everything's fine. When is the police looking for you to make sure everything is okay and everything is fine? Like, you know, like, that's some bullshit, but at least they're nice, right? They could have said, we're here to arrest her because she's a criminal, you know? So that's nice of the police officer to kind of hide the dirt, right? But Heather was like, oh, she was just here 5 minutes ago. Yeah, she was going on the trip. She said her husband was going to the hospital because he had internal bleeding. And like, Heather, what kind of friend are you, right? Like, I'm not telling you to lie to the police for me or whatever like that, but damn, do you have to give them all the information? Do you have to put all my business out there? Like, keep your mouth shut. Like, Heather is such a snitch. Oh my gosh. Like, that rubbed me some type of way. Like, she was just so excited and so like quick to insert herself in the moment in situation to be like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, what's going on? Oh my gosh, this is so scary. I'm so scared, guys. Like, Heather, you don't really seem that scared to me, right? Because if you were scared, your ass would have stayed on the bus. Okay, your ass wouldn't be out there asking a bunch of questions, giving the police officer all the information. Like, this is your friend, right? The producers are there to give the information, right? They don't need you. There's plenty of witnesses. The police can ask the cameraman, okay? The police can ask the sound man. They don't need to ask you what's going on. So you can tell Heather just wants the tea and wants to know what's going on. And same with Whitney. Like, you can kind of get the vibe that they were a little bit turned on by the situation. They were a little bit excited, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's going on? You know what I mean? And whatever. It is what it is, right? I hope Jen is seeing this. You know who you can trust. And it's so funny when Heather went back on the bus, Heather was like, should I tell Jen the police were here? And Lisa was like, I don't think so. I don't think you should do that, right? Because is that aiding and embedding or something? I forgot. I don't know what the terminology is called exactly. Like, is that illegal to give somebody a warning and heads up, like the police are after you, so you better run? That was hilarious. I did see the preview for next week's episode, or when they show the little clips, and in the clip, oh my gosh, Heather and Whitney are getting on my damn nerves, and Lisa's annoying too, but I can't stand Heather and Whitney and this narrative to make Lisa look like the most terrible person in the world, right? And to make Lisa look like so schemy and manipulative, right? When they do the same exact thing that Lisa does. I'm not saying that Lisa isn't shady, right? But I feel like Whitney and Heather, you literally do the same exact thing, but yet you guys try to play the victim. So, spoiler alert, in a little preview clip for the next episode, Lisa, she's so extra. She's calling all these lawyers. Like, she spoke to 4 different lawyers on the phone. And like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And da. And Whitney and Heather are like, do you think that Lisa set her up? Yeah, I think that Lisa called the police. She definitely called the police because she's acting very suspicious. And it's like, are you guys serious? You're gonna put Jen getting arrested on Lisa, not Jen being on a national television show, showcasing her fraudulent ways for the world to see is the thing, and her, like, I remember at the reunion last season when Andy asked Jen, what do you do? And she explained it, and everybody, including myself, was like, I still don't understand what you do. I really don't. Heather was the only one that sort of seemed to get it, right? But the rest of us were like, So even then she looked sketchy, right? But no, you're gonna blame that on Lisa. Yeah, Lisa called the police. Like, it's one thing if I felt it was genuine, like, okay, yeah, Lisa's acting suspicious, but I feel like it's just more of that, like, Lisa is a terrible person narrative that Heather and Whitney are playing into, and they want to act like Lisa's the bully and they're the victims, and I definitely kind of fell for that the first season, but by the reunion, I was like, you know what, Heather is not that innocent. I think Heather likes to play the underdog role, but I can see that she's very manipulative, and it's funny because this very same episode, the part that I said was boring, but this was the interesting part of Heather's scene with her niece earlier on in the episode when she was like, yeah, I used to be that judgmental Mormon. I thought I was morally superior and better than everybody else, right? So it's funny, she wants to place Lisa as that character, but I think Heather was that character. when she was Mormon and religious. I think Heather was that character that thought she was better than everybody else because she was so religious, and she looked down on everybody. She was the very same thing that she's accusing Lisa of being. And I think now, because she's not Mormon anymore, she doesn't have that moral superiority, so I think she feels very insecure. So anybody that she thinks is that girl, she tries to pull them down. And I think she's doing that very same thing to Lisa right now. Really and truly. So I'm starting to see Heather and Whitney for what they really are. And it's going to be interesting when it comes to the reunion, because I think I'm not the only one that is noticing what's going down. Okay. Anywho, you know what? I thought I didn't have much to say, but as I recorded, I guess the words just came forth, and a lot of rambling. Maybe this was boring, probably. But whatever. I just wanted to record something. So that's everything, guys. See ya.